Thank you, Chairman. Secretaries are welcome. I want to begin by echoing Senator Menendez's comments about the imputed rural floor problem. Unless that is corrected, you will be creating a market-shifting reimbursement cliff around Rhode Island, differentiating it from Massachusetts and from Connecticut. We are not a very big state, so it really does not make any sense to undo what has been the status quo for years, and we'll continue to work to try to make sure that we don't create that anomaly. I think we've had this conversation before, but as you know, I think one can generally divide the pharmaceuticals market into three categories. One category is where there is a functioning competitive marketplace. The other category is where there is a legally approved monopoly protected under patent law, for instance. And the third is where a company enjoys a de facto monopoly. There is not real competition, and it's in that sector of the pharmaceutical industry that I think we have seen the worst misbehavior. And my concern is that you get these companies that come in that buy up a drug manufacturer, add no value, invest in no research, but simply crank up the price for speculative purposes. First of all, do you agree with me that these de facto monopolies do exist in the prescription drug market?
I do. We have seen that in with some of these sole source generics that Senator Brown and I were just talking about.
Or even not a generic, just a pharmaceutical that's outside of its patent could still have a monopoly.
You could if you see a branded company abusing the patent system, the REMS programs, or other things that we want to get after.
Or after the expiration of their patent.
Exactly. That
they
anything
could continue
that prevents entry
to
of
have a de
generics.
facto monopoly.
Right.
So the concern that I have is that we are not seemingly addressing that problem. I know that you've proposed reopening a formulary, but if you have a situation in which a drug manufacturer has a de facto monopoly, they were able to succeed at the original low price that the speculator then came in, bought the company, and bid up, it is always going to be within their capability, should a competitor emerge, to drop back to their original price and price out the competitor. So you can play the market in that way, and the threat that somebody might reopen a formulary isn't very helpful in that case, because a wise speculator will happily bet that nobody will come into that marketplace because they can drop their price back again and price them back out. It seems to me that we have tools that go back to the age of grain silos and railroads and Ma Bell for dealing with monopolistic behavior. Why not just use those time-tested tools once a particular entity has been determined to be a de facto monopoly, and in many cases, not even a member of the pharmaceutical industry, just a speculator in trying to squeeze money out of the system?
I think Senator, that's a fair question to look at antitrust policies and competition law there in those circumstances to see if monopoly power is being abused. I don't purport to be an expert in DOJ or FTC antitrust policies, but I think that's a fair question. I will follow up on that. I think that's a fair thing to look into. We do need to increase competition, though. I do think still.
I think we all agree on that.
We are. One of the things we asked about in the blueprint was whether we're actually in this country underpaying for and under-reimbursing for generics. We need a strong, robust generic market. We may be driving those prices so low that we're creating manufacturing anomalies that lead to sole source products there with others exiting. We need to look at that and be open-minded about whether we've actually made it too low, even.
I think in the area of de facto monopoly, it would be hard to identify an agency of government that actually has responsibility in that area, and I don't see DOJ showing any signs of life. So I think that's part of the problem right there. I will ask you a question for the record related to what I'm hearing are very significant problems getting drugs in emergency rooms. And so just to flag that between us now so that when you see the QFR, you know that this was a question that I was concerned about. Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, may I ask unanimous consent before we conclude?
You want to ask an unanimous consent? Go.
I would like to, relating to the imputed rural floor issue. Sure. I have a letter from the Hospital Association of Rhode Island expressing its concern about the boundary effects that this will create. Also, a letter from our governor, Governor Raimondo, expressing her concern, and also a delegation letter from the entire Rhode Island delegation to Administrator Verma. Mr. Chairman, this is important to us. It's not like—
Make that all part of the record.
Thank you.